Welcome back to NPD Defined, going through the 9 diagnostic traits of narcissistic personality disorder. Remember, as we go through this, a person only needs to exemplify consistently 5 of them to be considered diagnosed. A reminder, we're not diagnosing people, but we're walking through and looking at, hey, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it swims like a duck and it poops like a duck, possibility is that it might be a duck. At the end of the day, what we're really just trying to define is narcissistic personality disorder. But if you're in a relationship that's toxic and someone's lying or cheating or abusing you in multiple ways that we look at here, you need to get out. If that person is not being honest, vulnerable, or showing consistent change, you need to leave. Now, that's easier said than done. You might be addicted, you might be in cycles with this person, or you've cycled through multiple narcissists and you're not sure how to get out. Please reach out for help. Go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to be able to talk to you and help you move forward in your healing process. But today we're going to be diving into diagnostic trait number 4. This craving for excessive admiration. DSM-5 doesn't waste a whole lot of words on this. It's only got 3 for number 4. It just says requires excessive admiration. That's it. And so when we step into the world of narcissistic personality disorder and needing this piece, you're going to see where narcissists have this insatiable need for excess admiration. So it's not just this regular level of admiration. It's like, no, I need more. Okay? This is like going all Cookie Monster on you with your admiration being cookies. Bad example, but we're going to keep rolling with it anyways. All right, so when we're talking about this, have you ever wondered why some narcissists, some people in your life demand this constant praise, this constant attention, this constant validation? As we step in this, I need you to understand it might not always be a narcissist, but this is one of the traits that are part of the diagnostic criteria. Now, when we talk through this piece of admiration, sometimes I'll slip over and step into the world of supply. And what I mean by this is a lot of times supply is this aspect of a narcissist having another person on the hook for the purpose of admiration. Okay? With this being like, hey, I've got this person that loves me and connects with me and makes me look amazing, makes me feel amazing about myself because of all the praise I get from this person. They're like the cheerleader, right? They're like pumping up the narcissist. So there's this aspect of admiration with supply. Now, it's also important to know, just on a side note, supply, not necessarily meaning the person, but oftentimes it becomes a reaction. And when we're talking about supply, we're looking at how is a person giving a reaction to the narcissist that oftentimes is validating them, the admiration, the love, the support, all those things, that's validating them, or sometimes is the opposite and is trying to tear them down. Like it's you calling out the narcissist, it's you calling him names, it's all this kind of stuff. And with that, sometimes the narcissist is still getting this piece of admiration. Now, sounds weird, right? Because you're like, how would they get that out of the negative? Narcissists are great at being able to rewire the thought process, to rewrite what just happened, to be able to think like, oh, like I'm so amazing, that's why she yelled at me. Like, because I'm so good, she can't handle me, which is why she feels bad about her, which is why she's raging out at me. And all of a sudden it gets all twisted around. Okay, it sounds a little confusing. I'm not trying to make it sound weird or really confusing, but I'm trying to say like, hey, like the mind is messed up. Like the narcissist is looking at it and being like, hey, how can I flip this around? Like I'm speaking from personal experience. It's not like I just like read about this. Like my mind would flip stuff around of like, oh, she's mad at me, which means she loves me. Like, oh, like she's running away, which means she likes me. Like there's all these different things that would mess with my head. And a lot of times it was about the relationship specifically of like, oh, this is what's going on, so this is what it means. There wasn't this aspect of like, well, they reject me or they were mean to me or they don't like me because that didn't fit in my worldview. My worldview was I'm amazing. I'm the center of the universe. Like I want this ideal love and I'm going to find it and I'm unique and I'm special, all these things. And then I'm at the place where I'm like, why aren't you giving me praise? Something must be wrong with you. Because it's obviously not wrong with me because I've already established in my mind, based on the other diagnostic traits we've already talked about, that I'm so amazing that I'm perfect. Okay, so I just want to give you a perspective of that a lot of times we'll step into this piece of like supply and admiration, and it could be this positive thing, or sometimes it could be a negative thing from your perspective, but the narcissist flips it in his mind to make himself feel better about himself. I don't even know if I have announced. If you're new here, which you might not be at this point, my name is Ben Taylor, and I'm a self-aware diagnosed narcissist, helping people break free of narcissistic personality disorder, helping them understand all the shit that comes from being in a toxic relationship like this. Side note. Anyways, so when we look at this piece, there is like this craving for excessive admiration. Like it needs to happen. It is an unquenchable thirst. It's the pit that's this giant void of like, I need to keep filling it with stuff so I feel better about myself, when oftentimes it's just trying to figure out how do I use and abuse other people so that they make me feel better about my image. Okay, narcissists are like emotional sponges. And what I mean by this is they're constantly seeking admiration and validation from the people around them, soaking it up and trying to be like the best version of themselves in their mind so they can feel better by all of this stuff that's coming at them. So it's like, let me be amazing, okay, but not in practicality, because that would take honesty and vulnerability. But let me keep that image, keep that fantasy that I'm so amazing, and you need to give me admiration. Like you need to praise me. Like you need to actually compliment me. You need to notice me. Okay. One time I was riding around a lake on my summerboard. My summerboard is kind of like a snowboard on wheels, so you can kind of drift and glide with it. It's pretty cool. But there's one thing that, like, when I would ride it, there wasn't a lot of people in the area that knew about it or had seen it before. So they'd be like, wow, that looks really different, right? And so I would ride, and a lot of times I would get compliments. I get people being like, whoa, it made me feel good, right? Like admiration piece. But then I would go around this one time, and I noticed, because it was part of even my healing journey, different things I was becoming aware. I noticed that there was one guy that was like running the opposite direction. And every time I would pass him, he was so focused on what he was doing, he would never like look at me. And it was this piece of like, wait a second, don't you see that I'm special? Like, don't you see that I'm amazing? Why aren't you giving me that attention? Why aren't you giving me that admiration? And I started to notice that even with like a tiny, like small example like that, but there was a piece of me that was like craving it. And it was like, wait a second, like, hey, don't you notice like I'm amazing? Like this is pretty cool, like what I'm doing. But he wasn't interested. He just kept running, just kept doing his loops, and didn't acknowledge anything that I was doing. That's the idea. That's what's going on. Just you can extrapolate that in a million different ways, a million different relationships, and a lot bigger than that. But I wanted to give you that illustration too. So it's like this piece of like, I need a steady stream. A steady stream that's constantly bubbling over with compliments, with praise, with recognition. And what this is doing is it's helping fuel a fragile self-esteem. Now you might be like, wait a minute. Narcissists, self-esteem, fragile, they don't seem like they have that at all. Well, yeah, because they're building that up with the entitlement, with the sense of superiority, with the aspect of like, I'm so amazing, with I'm so special. So like all of that is built, but it's built in fantasy. It's not built in reality. So the majority of narcissists don't have this like heavy set self-esteem. They just have ego that looks bigger than self-esteem, so they don't have to worry about it in their mind. But it is a big problem. So narcissists are going to see this of like, I need to beef this up. I need to solidify my self-esteem. Oftentimes they're like, well, I need to build barriers so that you can't tear me down, so you can't see the shit that's inside, so you can't like talk to me and me have to be vulnerable. But in reality, it's only just breaking them down more. It's only just making them more weak because they're not willing to stand in power of their truth. Majority of narcissists won't be truthful, won't be honest. So as a result, they're extremely weak. And I don't mean weak like physically, mentally, or things like that, because a lot of times they'll still manipulate and hurt other people. But typically when I talk about it, it's weak as men, cowards, because they're running away from truth, because truth is the thing that would expose them for the stuff that they're actually doing. So when narcissists are in this point of like craving for excessive admiration, it puts them oftentimes in situations where it's like, let me manipulate and exploit other people to get the inflated self-image that I want. That's the thought process. Okay, so he's looking at, okay, what do I need to do? What situation do I need to be in? How do I need to act? How do I need to respond to get what I want, to get this attention? And so you might have someone who is like the center of attention at social gatherings. He's always flirting with all the different people there. He's always interacting. He's always looking like the best person. But he's seeking this for a reason, to get the compliments on his appearance, on his intelligence, on his achievements. Oftentimes fishing for praise for anyone who actually listens. Talking about himself, beefing himself up, when in reality it's like, look at me. Like, I want to feel better about myself, so why don't you make me feel better? If he doesn't get that admiration that he craves, oftentimes he'll get to a place of being irritable, of like, I can't believe that you wouldn't actually acknowledge me. Now, is he going to say that? Typically, no. But that's the thought process that's going on. sometimes lashing out at you, leaving people around him like drained, like emotionally, like I don't have any more because this person has taken it out of me. Okay, narcissists are looking for this admiration over and over and over. And part of this is just help you bring an awareness to it so you can actually see through the facade and understand that it's to be able to boost up and to feel better about their low self-esteem, about underlying insecurities that's in their life. And it's not actually this piece of like, hey, I'm actually this amazing. It's like, nope, praise me because I want to feel amazing. Praise me because I want to feel good. When in reality, the narcissist isn't showing up that way. So, does this resonate in the relationship that you're with? You might be dealing with a narcissist, or we need to watch some more videos so you actually understand. This has been number 4. So if you missed, we've got 3 more in front of this, and we're going to have several more after this, talking through the 9 diagnostic traits of NPD, Narcissistic Personality Disorder. If I can help you break free mentally, emotionally, anything like that, please go to rawmotivations.com. You can click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you move forward in the healing process today. So check that out and go to rawmotivations.com today.